low, high, high, and medium. They also have different formats with varying impacts. The first ad doesn't have any formats, so there's no impact. The second ad has access to one format, so there's a low impact. The third ad is using some formats as well, and so is the last one, and we'll score those as medium. Now, Google's going to spit out a score. So let's say it looks something like this. The first advertiser gets a rank of 8, the next 18, then 25, and 20. Now, if your rank is too low, you actually won't appear at all. So in our example, even the highest bidder at $5 with a rank of 8, that's probably too low to even have their advertisement display. So now I'm going to reorder this by the score, and what you can see is that the two lowest bids at $3 and $2 are now going to take up the highest positions, where the higher bids are actually going to show up lower on the page because of the overall score that they've achieved. Now, I should point out that these scores are completely arbitrary numbers that I'm using only as an example. There's no actual way to identify the true mathematical formula that's being used, but I just want to get you familiar with why your bids and your placements are going to show up differently. Now, with that said, it still gets a little bit more complicated. Google uses a variation of what's called a second price auction. So you only have to pay the minimum amount to beat your competitor and maintain your position. This means the advertising bids will be automatically adjusted for you. Google does this to encourage you to bid your true highest amount, knowing they'll always correct the bids to be in your favor. So in this case, the top bid of $3 might be adjusted to $2.15 to simply beat the bidder just below them. And that's how Google manages its auctions. Now, as we go through this course, I'll be discussing how to achieve high-quality scores. Essentially, it boils down to improving your ad quality through the right keywords and ad copy, refining your landing page experience, and leveraging all of the available ad formats. Before starting any online advertising, whether paid or organic, it's important to identify what you hope to gain from your efforts. Do you want to increase traffic to your website? Drive more phone calls through your sales team? Would you like more customers to come through your doors? Or are you trying to educate your consumers about a very specific product? These are just a few examples of what I will refer to as your paid advertising business goals. With a clear goal, you'll be able to identify a strategy and evaluate the proper way to measure results. If you want brand awareness, you might track impressions instead of tracking clicks, whereas a traffic campaign is going to be focused on the quantity of visitors, and therefore clicks would become important. Your goal will be composed of 4 elements: the objective, the motivation, the effort, and the KPI, or key performance indicator. Your KPI is not just what you're measuring, but the actual quantity of that measurement you hope to achieve. Let's walk through some examples to show you how I would set up an advertising business goal. Let's say you sell coffee products online and want more orders on coffee filters and coffee mugs. My first objective is online sales. Then we have the motivation, and the motivation is going to be what your customer wants. Remember that list from earlier? So in this case, the motivation is I want to buy. Our effort is to sell filters. That's what we need to do. So we need to sell filters, and the KPI is going to be 100 filters sold by October. So it's not just the measurement of 100 sales. It's actually 100 filters, and it's going to be sold by whatever date we've decided. You want your KPI to be very specific because you're going to use it to determine if you reach those goals. So with this KPI, if we sold 100 filters, but we didn't do it until November, well, we got the quantity, but we didn't do it in the right time frame, and we're going to go back and look at our ads and figure out how we can do it at an accelerated rate. Now, in this case, we had 2 goals, so I would do this again. The objective, online sales; the motivation, I want to buy. In this case, the effort is sell mugs, and the KPI will be 200 mugs sold by December. What's great about this is that we know that we need to use an ad type that will drive traffic to an online store because our objective is online sales. And we know that we need to have a method for tracking our effort. So we need to set up a method to track the filters and the mug sales prior to launching this campaign. Now, this methodology will help you not only organize your campaigns, but it provides you with a tangible goal. You'll have to work to modify budgets, tweak campaigns, and refine your performance so that you can meet your KPI. If you fail, that's okay. Failure is how you learn. Failure is money spent on education, and you'll use the data you gather to describe why you missed your goal. Let's look at another example. Let's say you're a pet groomer and you want to generate more phone calls to your business. So we'll write our objective as phone calls. The motivation is I want to know and I want to go. The consumer needs to come to you. So your ad type will be focused on either getting them the information they need over the phone or getting them to come to your local place of business. The effort will be to book haircuts for dogs. And the KPI is 10 new clients in April. Now, you might be asking, wait, why is my goal book haircuts for dogs instead of, say, pet grooming for dogs and cats? Well, the most successful campaigns are going to be very specific. As we uncover keyword popularity in a future movie, you'll see why. But to put it broadly, people aren't likely searching for both cat and dog haircuts simultaneously. They're going to look for something specific to their needs. Their motive is, I want a haircut for my dog. So when they go to Google, the search will be dog groomer or dog haircut, likely followed by a modifier that could include their current location. You don't want to serve this person a generic ad about all of your services. You want to serve them an ad very specific to their motivation. And this is why goals are very important. So take a minute to establish what your initial goals are and what sounds like a very reasonable and achievable goal that you can use to kick off your first AdWords campaign. We're going to use our goals throughout this course, and we'll also use them to help identify how much to spend. If you have multiple advertising goals, that's great too. Keep in mind that it's best to set up one campaign for each goal. This keeps you organized and focused. The advertisements that you create will, more often than not, focus on a specific product. That product might be a physical piece of merchandise, the entirety of your brand image, a specific service, or, say, an electronic download. The best advertisements are focused, and that focus requires you to really define what your product is at a much more granular level than you might be used to. In the last movie, we briefly looked at a scenario covering a pet groomer. For this business, we would want to make a list of all the marketable products and their definitions. What is everything you can offer your customer? It's either items or information that is currently on your website, will be added to your website, or what you have in your store. Now, you don't need to create a list of things that you don't want to advertise for. So in this case, we only need to come up with a list of marketable products that we're going to be buying ads for. So for this business, off the top of my head, I could think of cat grooming, dog shampoo, cat shampoo, dog grooming tips, cat grooming tips, dog nail trim, and so on. This list can continue to go on to focus on specific products or even more specialized items. It's not good enough to focus on your business broadly. You want to target your specific products. This lets you tailor your advertising copy and your keyword strategy to meet your customer when they're in the right mindset. Each product will need its own campaign, its own goals, and likely a unique landing page for when the advertisement is clicked. Take some time to think through all the products and services you offer. You can even group your products into multiple categories, so you might list out your products by type first, and then again by brand. Before we continue, make a list of everything you sell or offer. This will help you as you prepare to build your first campaign. At this stage, we understand our goals and our product, but it'd be a waste of time to pursue the wrong audience. The best audience is one that needs your category of product, and the audience that is looking for dog grooming, for example, might not be the same audience that's looking for cat grooming. When I start any advertising endeavor, I like to outline the type of customer I'm targeting specific to the product I want them to buy. And you can do this by creating descriptive personas. There's a lot of ways that you can go about deciphering the personas of your users. If you've got an existing customer base, you can conduct surveys and mine your data for patterns. But if you're just starting out, you'll have to make some educated assumptions. To do that, let's start with a simple exercise. We're going to outline 3 desired or typical customers of yours. So pull out a piece of paper and then close your eyes and picture 3 different customers interacting with your product. Now, write down the 3 names that come to your mind when you see their faces. Next, describe each person at a broad level. How old are they? What is their gender? And what type of education do they have? Next, write down some career facts about these people. What is their profession? How long have they been working there? And is their career motivating them to use or need your product? From here, let's talk about the technological traits of this customer. What technology do they use daily? How do they access the web? How much time are they dedicating to the internet? Next, you'll write a short biography for each of these people. You could also pretend that you're introducing them to a friend. What would you say? What things will you highlight? So at this point, you've got a rough sketch of these people, but you'll want to take it even further and put yourself in their shoes. Assume their identity, imagine their day-to-day, and then answer these 4 questions. What are they motivated by? Where do they spend most of their time? Why are they interested in your product? And what will convince them to buy? Here's an example of a persona I've created so you can get a sense of what you're trying to do. Here I've given my persona a name, Mark. He's a male, 42 years old with a graduate degree. For career facts, I've identified that he's an orthodontist. He's been doing this for 10 years, and he needs this product for the work that he does. As far as technology is concerned, he's on an iPhone as well as a desktop. He's predominantly a mobile user, and he's online roughly 4 hours per day, but in the evenings. For a biography, I wrote Mark is a young professional who really enjoys technology. He's an entrepreneur as he runs his own business. He is skeptical about most things and is motivated by recommendations from other colleagues or professional sources. The bio really helps me begin to shape how I'm going to target to this persona. Now, Mark would be associated to a particular product, so as we go through our advertising, I'll have my product set up, and then when I go about targeting, I'll look at these personas and make sure that my targeting makes sense for this person, as well as the ad text. Does the copy help solve their problems? In this case, I've identified that this persona is skeptical, so I might include reviews from other colleagues or links that show professional resources on my landing page. At the end of this exercise, you should have some very clear personas. Create a persona for each product, as this will help you begin to create refined targeting for your advertising campaigns. AdWords is exciting. It's an accessible platform, it works in near real time, and it's an opportunity to generate immediate exposure for your company. But it's very likely you're not going to get an amazing result with your first step up to the plate. Every business is unique, so there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach. Successful AdWords campaigns require persistence. You have to spend money, look at the data, refine your campaign, spend more money, look at the data, and repeat. In fact, your first month might be terribly frustrating. Lackluster clicks, no phone calls, meager sales. You're going to be looking at your AdWords dashboard, questioning everything. The good news is, you're not alone. As a professional marketer, I too encounter this same struggle with almost any new campaign I launch. My goal is to help you set up some realistic expectations so you're on the path to success, and so you know when to keep on pushing forward despite the nagging feeling that you need to throw the towel in. A typical AdWords campaign will hit its stride in about 3 months, and here's why. In month 1, we're making educated guesses and collecting data. You'll launch your campaigns, and then you'll need to start asking questions. How's my click-through rate? What about the bid price? Are we running out of money? Are we not spending all of our budget? You'll be making changes and reviewing the performance to better understand your specific market. It's very common to lose money in the first month of advertising. There isn't a special software program, a secret book, or a crystal ball that can tell you what's going to work for you. It's all about making educated guesses and being savvy with how you interpret the data. In month 2, you should be seeing improvements. By now, you have several weeks of data and a handful of tests under your sleeve. By being active in your dashboard, milling over your data, and being sensitive to what changes you've made, it's very likely you'll feel a lot more aware of your market and what's working. This is why you need to be patient with AdWords. If you spend money and don't wait long enough, you might pull the plug just before things start to transition. Let the data sink in, and in month 2, you can start closing the gap. Perhaps your goal was to drive traffic, and by month 2, you've dialed that in, but the traffic is too expensive. Now you're at least aware you can get the traffic, so this month will be about making changes to slowly dial in that perfect price. You might be pausing keywords, lowering bids, changing the ad copy, testing different landing pages, and so on. You'll review data in Google Analytics and be persistent in recognizing your target audience's trends and behaviors. It's usually around the 3rd month you'll really see a return on investment. With the data, the tweaks, and the attention you've been giving your audience, things typically fall into place. From here, it's all about scaling and creating larger KPIs. Whether you're going to spend $100 or $10,000, the process is very much the same. Decide what you're willing to spend to get the knowledge you need. What can you lose in the first month and still be satisfied with the outcome? To start advertising with Google AdWords, you'll need to create an AdWords account. The first step is to open up a browser and head over to adwords.com. Next, we're going to click the Start Now button here in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. Now, it's tempting to fill out the information that appears in this guided tour, but if you do, Google's going to walk you through setting up your first campaign. And I'm not a fan of trying to create something before you've really explored how the interface works. So simply click the link labeled Skip the Guided Setup. First things first, we need to either enter in our existing Google account information or provide information to establish a new Google account. If you use Gmail, Analytics, or AdSense, you already have an account established with Google. You can use the same email address you use to log into Analytics to sign up with AdWords. If you're creating a Google AdWords account for business purposes, as you probably are, it's a good idea to create the Google account with the business domain. So let's say we're establishing an account for the Landon Hotel. I'm going to set up an account here for Jennifer Dawson. So I'll enter in her email, jdawson@landonhotel.com. And Google's going to say, next, we're going to create an account because there isn't one created yet. Now, if you entered in your email and Google said, hey, there's already an account set up, then when you save and continue here at the bottom of the screen, it's going to ask you to log in. In this case, I'm going to be showing you how to set up both the brand new AdWords account and a Google account simultaneously. Next, we need to set our country and our time zone. And the selections you make here cannot be changed. So make sure that you pick the location and the time zone that you want to see in your reports later. I'm going to be using the Pacific time zone, which Google has already determined based on my location. And I'll use the US dollar currency. Then I'm going to choose Save and Continue. From here, I'll set up the new Google account. I'll give the name, last name, and you'll need to create a strong password. You can enter in your birth date. I'll just make up one here. And you can skip adding the mobile phone number if you're not interested in providing that information. You'll need to type in the text in the CAPTCHA above. You'll then need to agree to the terms of service and the privacy policy, so be sure to check those both out and make sure that you agree with all of the terms that are listed in there. From here, I'll choose Next Step. Now, in my situation, Google has asked me to verify my account before I can start using it. And they want me to verify it with my cell phone, so they're either going to send me a text or a voice call. Now, this may or may not happen to you, so I'm going to go ahead and enter in my phone number and then continue through the verification process. So my code arrived, and I'll go ahead and enter that in and choose Continue. At this point, Google AdWords will send you an email with a special validation link to prove that you own the email address that you've signed up with. I'm going to head over to that email account and show you how that's done. So here we can see the email that has arrived from Google AdWords. I'll go ahead and open it up and then simply select the link to verify that email address. And there you go. Google's going to drop you into this page here labeled Campaigns, and it's going to say, Welcome to AdWords. And just like that, you have your first AdWords account. So we'll start talking about this interface in the next movie. In the previous movie, we looked at setting up our first AdWords account. Now, let's get familiar with the overall structure of the AdWords interface. Understanding the basic layout of what you see when you log into AdWords will help you to manage and optimize your account much more efficiently and set you on the road to pay-per-click success. We're here on the page that we saw when we finished setting up our account before, but I'd like to show you an account that already has some information in it, as I think it'll help you wrap your head around how this interface looks once you're already set up. So I'm going to switch over to an account that's already been established, and this is what your campaigns view will normally look like once you have some information and campaigns set up. Generally, the interface is divided into 4 top-level areas, and these menu items here at the top of the screen are Home, Campaigns, which is highlighted in blue because that's the page that we're on, Opportunities, and Tools. I'm going to select Home. This section acts as an account dashboard, giving you the highlights of your account performance with a number of modules that you can move around, customize, and even hide from this view. If you'd like to minimize them, choose the minus icon or minimize icon. The down arrow will allow you to set options for each of these views, or if you'd like, you can customize the columns within the view itself, and the X icon will hide it. You'll also notice in the upper right-hand corner, there's a bell that has this little exclamation point. And this is giving me account alerts. Anytime you see an exclamation point, it means you have unread alerts.